welcome back to the channel. I'm Lily and today I'm going to be continuing on my performer series, and today's video is going to be an overview of my training at Bird College. Before I start, if you do like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. I am a performer and I've been in the industry now for 9 years. So from that you can tell that my training was quite a long time ago, but I've never done a video on it, and to be honest it was an absolute whirlwind of an experience, and sometimes it's good to just sit down and have a chat about it. So it's really hard to try and encapsulate a full 3 years into one video, and I really don't want this video to be super duper long because then I've got to edit it. So this will just be like a general overview. So first of all, the dates. I graduated in 2013 when I was 21. So I went at age 18 and I went and I did the degree course. So that is the BA Hons in Professional Dance and Musical Theatre. And I was actually there when they changed it from, it was called something else and they changed it to what it's called now. And I'm pretty sure it's still the same, but I could be wrong. And if I am, just let me know. So first of all, I just want to say that Bird College has an amazing reputation. Even now, whenever I tell people where I've trained, I very rarely get people go, where? Unless they're really not in the musical theatre scene at all. Everybody knows Bird College, everybody knows their reputation, and the reputation is very, very good. It is one of the top colleges within the London area of the UK. So one of the top dance and musical theatre colleges that you can go to. So you only get 3 years there, and they've basically got to try and put as much information and as much training into those 3 years as possible because they want to keep that reputation up. But as you can imagine, it was crazy, just a crazy 3-year experience. So I want to make it clear that if I had to do it again, I absolutely would. I cannot imagine the person I would be or the performer I would be without having gone and done that training. It gave me so much. It showed me how to work hard. It showed me how to be dedicated. It taught me so much that I just did not know. It really got me from being, you know, a child or a teenager up to, okay, this is how you think about this hobby that you've had in a professional sense. I honestly cannot tell you like how much value it's added to my life and to my career. Still, even now, 9 years later, I still draw from that training. So I want to make that clear first and foremost. Now, all of those amazing things that I just said still stand, but I need to just put them to one side for a minute because those are kind of the things that you expect. It gives you this amazing training. However, really what I'm going to talk about more in this video are the things that I maybe didn't expect and sort of how my experience differed from my expectation. And I feel those things don't always get talked about as much. Maybe they do on like a little side note between performers, but it's not really put out there because you don't want to be seen to be like bashing colleges because, like I said, they are amazing. So just to clue you in, my experience and my training that I'd had up until the point of going to Bird, like I said, I went at 18, was just going to my local dance school. I did all the competitions. I feel like I took it really seriously, but I didn't do any like extra associate programs or anything like that. So I feel like whenever I discuss training with people, and especially musical theatre training, because it is very like fun loving and, you know, it isn't always seen as being super, super serious, but everyone always says, oh, it was so much fun, it was this, it was that, it was blah, 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 blah. But to be honest, my one word, if you ask me, my one word to describe it would be intense. It was very, very intense. And I don't think that's specific to Bird, but Bird do take everything very seriously. It was, I would probably say, more of a serious college. Okay, so the first thing that I really wasn't prepared for was going from my local dance school where I'd worked my way all the way up. I was one of the oldest and therefore one of the best, and I was used to being the best. All of my peers knew me as like the one that was good at dancing. That was how I was known at school. That was part of my identity. So then going into a really, really amazing college filled with everybody else that was the best in their local dance schools from all across the UK, all of a sudden you didn't feel that great. There was still a mix of abilities. I didn't really feel like I was on top, which I definitely struggled with. I just felt like I really wasn't very good because I was just in with amazing people. So that was number one that just hit me like a ton of bricks. So first year, as a lot of people will tell you, was just drilling technique. Just again and again, tendus and pliés in ballet. That was it. It was just the boring technique stuff. And I'd kind of heard about technique and it had been like mentioned, but I hadn't ever really drilled it. So I was a bit like, what is this? And why are we doing it? And yeah, I felt like first year was just a bit not that enjoyable, to be honest. I'm gonna say it how it is. But from the college's point of view, it needs doing, so what are you gonna do? But yeah, first year was pretty rubbish. And I also want to say, it goes so quick. Everybody says how quick it goes, but oh my gosh, it does. Like all of a sudden you're at Christmas, then you're at the next stop, then you're at the next stop. So it's like you don't even have time to really like process what's going on. And I find that there's things in college, just the whole experience, like my brain still hasn't quite processed that whirlwind over 3 years, and it just really goes quick. So, you know, if there's any advice out there to be had, just lap it up. So the other thing that I want to talk about is the mindset of colleges. Now, bear in mind, obviously they're trying to get as much done as possible. They're really trying to push you to do as well as you can. So the mindset that they kind of instill in you is almost like, okay, so like if you want to get the best jobs, if you want to make it in the industry, and it's such a hard industry, you need to be doing your best all the time. So in every lesson, every second of every lesson, you must be doing your best and trying your hardest, playing as far as you can and just stretching yourself to the absolute maximum 24/7. And that gets really exhausting. We had times in lesson where the teacher would literally just, in the middle of an exercise, switch the music off and just go, no one's trying hard enough. Or even worse, they would single somebody out and be like, you're not trying hard enough. So like just that mentality all the time, to have people watching you and pushing you to do your best all the time, it's almost like having a personal trainer 24/7, like 5 days a week it was, from like 8 in the morning until, generally speaking, maybe like 6, but sometimes even till 8 in the evening, just pushing you and pushing you and pushing you. So you can only imagine how exhausting that was, not just on the body, but on the mind as well. So it was like that mentality that just was like, oh, if I'm not doing my best, then that person's doing their best, then they're going to get the job and I'm not going to get it. Like, I get why they did it, but it was a little bit toxic, like that way of thinking. There was just no let up. So it was quite a regular occurrence for someone to cry. Like most days, most lessons, somebody would cry because they would just reach their breaking point, and that was that. And that was just very normal. Just very normal for someone to just be like crying through a lesson. Things would be said like, why are you here? If you're not going to try your absolute hardest, why are you here? All the time. Like all these kind of mentally awful things to say to somebody. Like another example would be like, oh, so do you not want it then? Do you not want that amazing job? Like it was like they'd just created this like thing to dangle in front of us, this like amazing job that we didn't even know like what it was yet. We hadn't even thought about what we wanted to do, but it was just like, well, whatever that is, your dream job, do you not want it because you're not trying hard enough? And just things like that. It was absolutely wild, and I would probably say not the best for mental health, but they did get the best out of us. So I don't really know what to say about that. So obviously on top of that, everyone's just, you know, trying to get used to living by themselves, not living at home anymore. So something that I feel needs talking about as an ex-birdie and someone that went quite a while ago is they do have a brand new facility now, but in the olden days, they had sites scattered around Sidcup, which is where it's based. So you would have 15 minutes in between a lesson. And in that 15 minutes, you had to get to somewhere else that was a 10-minute walk away. You had to get changed from the lesson you'd just done, drink some water, probably eat some food because we didn't get a lunch break, you just ate in between lessons. You'd maybe have to change your hairstyle, you'd maybe have to top up or change your makeup. And then you'd get there and then you'd have to be like ready for another class immediately. So you'd only just finish that class, you'd literally go straight there, straight into another class, still sweating, still panting, crazy. And that power walking just sort of generated quite a lot of shin splint issues for a lot of people because we were being so physical and then having to power walk in between lessons, every lesson. So yeah, any ex-birdie will tell you that was pretty special. So I personally went on a little bit of a journey because I had maybe like first year, second year, I actually started to reflect and ask myself why I wasn't enjoying it as much as I thought I would, or as much as other people were saying that they were really enjoying it. And I basically came to the conclusion when we were doing the shows that it wasn't the dancing that I'd always loved, it wasn't the dancing that I'd always wanted to do, it was the performing. So I'd spend all year not hating the lessons but kind of struggling through, and then the show week was amazing. It was the best week as far as I was concerned. So I find that quite difficult during the 3 years because we only did one show a year at the end of the year, apart from third year where we did a musical theatre showcase thing and we did an end of year show. But for me, I guess if I was gonna, I wouldn't say I would change my training, but maybe if I was gonna choose somewhere else, I would maybe try and look and to choose somewhere that had more performances going on throughout the year. I do wish we had more singing lessons. For me personally, I wanted to get more into that musical theatre vibe, and coming from somewhere where I hadn't had a lot of singing training, I I really could have done with some more singing lessons. I just felt like we didn't have the time. I'm pretty sure we maybe only had like 2 singing lessons a week, and that was split. It wasn't like a one-on-one singing lesson. You would go in with a teacher and then maybe be like 5 or 6 people, and you'd have to split that like, maybe like an hour and a quarter, I can't remember how long the lessons were, but that would be split between those 5 or 6 people, so you'd maybe get like 10 minutes twice a week. And personally, I just don't think that's enough. Next to how much dancing we were doing, I really would have liked to had more time to really like find my voice. And we did a lot of theory when it came to singing. We learnt the still technique, but actually then being able to put that into practice and into songs, I just don't think it was there. So that is one thing that I'm a bit like, did get frustrated with. Another frustration was the mark system within the dancing. All the marks were done on technique. Like the whole sheet, when you looked at the marking system, everything was done on technique, and then there was maybe like one little bit at the end that was like, oh, did they perform? And it was like a tick or a couple of points next to everything else was all different types of technique. I personally had a problem with this because I'm very good at kind of performing, and obviously I still wanted to work on technique. I understand the importance of technique 100%, but I would just get frustrated because my marks would be so low because it was all about technique and so little about performance. And yet once you're in the industry, I wouldn't say performance is more important than technique, but you really don't get anywhere if you've got no performance. Like, it really does need to be there, and it gets you a long way. So I did find that quite frustrating whilst I was at college. So another thing worth mentioning that is worth preparing yourself for if you are going to college is the way that they kind of speak about work. So I almost understand it from the college's point of view. They want to keep this reputation that they've got, obviously because it's a long-standing reputation and it's very, very good. So they're really trying to push everybody into like the big West End jobs or into these big roles, and they almost do that by saying that's your aim, or like that's when you know you've been successful, or those kind of things. And realistically, there are so many jobs out there within the industry that are fulfilling, they're well paid, all of these things. None of it's really like considered, oh, you've been a successful performer. So I find that that still affects me now. Even 9 years later, I have to tell myself, no, like, you're working in the industry, you're being paid to perform, you are being successful. I almost have to give myself a pep talk every time because I find I always play it down because I'm not in the West End or I'm not doing a big UK tour. And that can be really hard. I know that that's messed with a lot of people, and it happens at a lot of colleges, not specifically just the college that I went to. So that's definitely something that I would say needs talking about more. And if you are going to dance college, just prepare yourself for that way of thinking, but know that that's not the only way. There are so many jobs out there. I can't really do this vid without mentioning some of the toxic things that were happening with regards to like people's body images and the way that that was all dealt with at college. I personally didn't massively suffer from it. However, I think it happens at a lot of colleges, and in a lot of those environments, you put 30 women, and I guess it happened with the boys as well, but you put 30 girls in a room, all in leotard and tights, in front of a mirror all day, every day. It's so hard not to compare yourself. But I don't think that was helped by some of the things that sometimes the teachers would say, probably just repeating things that they got told when they were training, and then just kind of the culture surrounding it within the dressing rooms and things. You know, someone would be saying, oh, well, I'm trying this diet, or I'm doing this, or how many calories are in this, and then that would spark another conversation. And then even if you weren't bothered about food or you weren't counting calories, all of a sudden, because everybody else was, or someone else was talking about it, you then wanted to join in and do that, or you felt like you should, or whatever it was. It just bred that kind of toxicity. I'm really hoping that they're doing a lot more in colleges these days to try and combat that, but I know that that was such a struggle for quite a lot of people. And I definitely think going into college, you need to be very sort of strong-minded and confident, but deep within of everything, of your body is your body, and you don't compare it to anybody else, and you just got to stay healthy, and as long as you're healthy, like, that's kind of it. Just wanted to touch on that and mention it because I think it needs mentioning. So that's kind of the end of my overview. Obviously I could go into so much more detail, but I don't want to keep you here all day. I do just want to reiterate from the beginning that college was a positive experience for me. It taught me so many things, but I do just think going into it, sometimes just finding out the things that you're not expecting just to be prepared is very helpful. So I do hope that this might have helped a few people. I really hope it hasn't put you off the college that I went to or any other college, because they really are wonderful places and they can do a lot for you if you wanted to perform and if you wanted to be in the industry. Just be prepared for the most intense experience of your life. It's not just singing and dancing every day. There's a bit more to it, but definitely go for it if it's something that you're looking into. And let me know if you have any questions or any comments, or if you want to share your experience, please do feel free. If you have liked this video, please give it a like and please consider subscribing to my channel. Thank you so much for watching, and hopefully I'll see you soon.